Never seen a smile so big on my little old lady's face until I tell her I'm going fishing all weekend. Pack up all of my bacon, I make plans for 7:45, then I swing around, pick up my date for the weekend. Some reason she seems to please when I'm leaving. There's something I'm missing when I'm gone fishing. When I'm gone fishing. When I'm gone fishing.
Yeah, baby.
Yes, sir. Always a pleasure to see such fantastic people join me every Monday as you do. You meaning you, Steve. You meaning you, Tony. Adrian, nice to see you. Steven in the house. Ed McKenzie, always a pleasure to see you. Manny, we got to get you a hookup, man. We got to get you. We got lots of follows with you, but we got to get a hookup. Camp McIntosh, our wonderful friends at Camp McIntosh. We have an announcement that will be coming up in regards to our third annual OFC Nation retreat up at Camp McIntosh, so stay tuned to that. Of course, we do have a Monster Monday feature, as we usually do when it comes to Camp McIntosh, but nonetheless, it's a pleasure having you folks with us, Andre and Tracy. Looking forward to seeing you guys book your stay at Camp McIntosh. Don't delay, and you will not be disappointed. I can assure you that. But we'll get to that. Bob, always a pleasure to see you. And Lloyd's in the house. Well, we got to do this for Lloyd. On that note, anybody else who's having a birthday, I want to wish you guys a wonderful day. You deserve a wonderful day. If you are here with us on your birthday, watching live, we love you. We love you. We love you. Also celebrating birthdays. If there's nobody else that I have missed that is celebrating a birthday today, yesterday, or the coming days, we want to wish you a happy birthday. But I want to take a second to wish my mother a happy birthday. April Fools. It was always a joke around our house. Mom was born on April Fools, but Mom, 82 years old. You don't look a day past 60. You certainly you have fun like you're in your 20s. But Mom was great spending some time with you last night. Of course, over at my sister Sue's and their family. But needless to say, Mom, 82nd birthday. Happy birthday to you, and hopefully we see another 80 more. In the meantime, obviously, we have a few announcements. We have a special guest pairing coming on. Mike Console is going to be with us, of course, with Sean Simmons from Anglers Atlas. They've got lots to talk about with us in regards to what's coming up in the Midwest Walleye Challenge. But in the meantime, we'll get through some of the announcements. I also want you folks to pay attention to Jim's new intro. It doesn't last very long, but it's kind of comical. So we will we'll leave it at that, and we'll wait for you guys to have a listen. It's kind of funny. I'm sure if you've followed the reels on YouTube or Instagram, you've probably seen this little meme or whatever you want to call it, video reel snippet before. So stay tuned to that. It's a lot of fun. Jim's going to enjoy it. Next Gen. Really important that I mention this. We have an upcoming raffle. It's actually not a raffle. Yes, it is a raffle. We are going to be issuing tickets for some really cool prizes. And of course, it's a means to generate some money for Next Gen. We do this because we have the two events. I shouldn't say that it's not a lot of money that we require to run these events, but it's more money than we have. So any help that you folks can participate in, we truly appreciate it. But Next Gen does some absolutely wonderful things, and proud to be a part of it. Stay tuned to the upcoming raffle. We're going to be posting that real soon, but some really cool prizes if you like paddleboards, if you like electronic bikes, and I forget what the third one is, but we have some really cool prizes nonetheless. But stay tuned to that because we're hopefully going to generate a lot of money for next gen. Also, we have Lawrence is not going to be with us tonight, so he'll be back next Monday. So I hope Lawrence is enjoying himself wherever he is, an extended long weekend, Easter weekend for you. Also wanted to mention this, Sarah McGoldrick. This event is happening up at the Clifford Arena, May 4th and 5th. They're trying to get as many outdoors enthusiast sort of themed booths as they possibly can. So there's going to be an outdoor theme, obviously, the Life Outdoors show. We'll suggest that, but it'll be interesting to see the vendors that they come up with, but please stay tuned to that because, as I say, there's some really cool things that are going on at this show, May 4th and 5th. But if you have any questions or any ideas, suggestions, or maybe you just want to sign up, there's the website there, www.lifeoutdoorshow.com. So by all means, reach out to there. 2 paddle boards. Oh, that's right, Stanley. 2 paddle boards and an electric bike. So stay tuned to that. We're going to be announcing that real soon. I just got to get the artwork together. So it is my faux pas. Cancast. It's this weekend. I hope everybody's ready. Looking forward to talking to Kyle and Moose later on this evening. They're going to be with us describing all the things that are going to be coming up. Cancast. Looking forward to that because it's always a good time with Moose in the house. Also, would not be a CFN Live without mentioning the 6th annual CFN retreat at Horwood Lake Lodge. Looking forward to it, as we always do. It's the highlight of the summer. And for those who have been, those who have visited us in the past, you probably know a thing or two about Horwood Lake Lodge. And the Extreme Angler just posted a video of some of the smallmouth fishing he enjoyed up on that body of water. So I invite you to head over to the Extreme Angler. But in the meantime, I believe it's just the one cabin that's left. Please contact Warren and Doris so you can meet us up there at Horwood Lake Lodge and enjoy 5 nights, 6 days of this. $875 plus tax is what you are required to pay. And with that, between the days of August 11th and the 17th, this is what you get. You get a place to lay your head. You get all the food you could possibly want and eat. Do not come up expecting to be on a diet because the diet will fail. Trust me. I was thin before I went to Horwood. No, I'm just kidding. Anyway, you will go up. You'll enjoy a lot of food. It'll be a lot of fun. And as I said, $875 includes somewhere to lay your head, all the food you could want. If you need a boat will be made available to you, as well as the gas and the minerals to go along with it. To Warren and Doris, thanks so much for that. Truly, truly appreciate the effort. And I still can't believe that you guys are able to keep the cost the same. If you want to join one of us, one of all of us, this year coming, it is going to be the 3rd annual OFC Nation retreat. Moose and I might talk a little bit about it during the segment. I know this is all Cancast, but in the meantime, if you have not booked and you're looking to, because this is quite a fishery, like this is right where the French River flows into Georgian Bay. It really doesn't get better than this in terms of the quantity of fish, quality of fish, and species. As I said, if you're species driven, there's lots of species to catch up here. Right now, it is $205 per person per night. It's going the 27th to the 29th of September. That is the OFC Nation retreat. But if you are interested to go up a little bit earlier and enjoy some much needed fun and relaxation, I highly recommend it. And you will enjoy everything that these folks did last year at the 2nd annual OFC Nation retreat. Have a look.
Yeah, baby! Cancast 2023.
person per night. If you have a boat, you're willing to bring your own boat up, it's $155 per person per night. It includes 3-day stay, 2-night stay, and all of the fun you could possibly have with a group of people that equally like to have fun. So I look forward to seeing you there. What I want to do now is bring in Mike Consul, because we are now going to start discussing everything Midwest Walleye Challenge and then some. Mikey, always a pleasure to see you each and every Monday, my friend.
Hey, Scotty. Scotty, I got a question for you. What is your favorite fish to catch?
Oh, man. Oh, why do you always put me on this spot like this? Walleye. Yes, walleye.
I don't know if you guys know, but if you ever see a black truck and it says Walleye 4 on the license plate, that's Scotty Martin. He loves walleye so much.
That's it for today's show. Yeah, I'll be dodging the authorities from here on in. Thanks, Mike. No, that's fantastic. Yes, I do love my walleye. And Mike, there's a lot of great videos that are being shared right now about the walleye run that is currently on in some areas. So yeah, it gets the hair standing up on end. There's no doubt about it. I'm sure you're itching to get a line wet yourself.
Yeah. But wouldn't it be wonderful if you can catch walleye and on top of that, you can get prizes and cash for catching your favorite species? Or, it might not be your favorite species, but you're getting all this stuff for just catching walleye and you're adding to scientific research. So I'm not going to talk more about it. We have a special guest to talk about the Midwest Walleye Challenge and who can get involved. So let's bring him on, Scotty.
Before we do that, Mike, I just want to wish you a happy Easter Monday.
Thank you. Happy Easter to all those who
celebrate. I totally forgot that in the lead. Sean, to you as well, my friend. Happy Easter Monday.
Thank you. Nice to be back, and happy Easter to both of you.
Always a pleasure to have you in here, Sean, from Anglers Atlas. And I will say, some of the events that you have upcoming, Mike has shared a bunch of them with me. All I can say is you folks are going to be busier than us, I think, this year coming.
Sean, tell us about Midwest Walleye Challenge.
Yeah, well, things really got busy on Saturday because 8 of the 14 events of the Midwest Walleye Challenge kicked off, and they're basically in the southern U.S. states. So you've got Iowa, Indiana, Illinois, Nebraska, Missouri, Kansas, South Dakota, and Ohio. Those all kicked off, and I'll start with saying Iowa is taking a lead for all the states. Followed, what's the next one? I think it's Illinois is in second, Nebraska's in third.
Awesome. And if you're from Canada, can you get involved in Midwest Walleye Challenge?
Yeah, we've got 2 provinces competing. It'd be Manitoba and Ontario, and those events will kick off May 1st, along with I think that's the starting date for Minnesota, Michigan, and North Dakota, with Wisconsin being the odd one out, starting May 4th. So it'll be quite the breadth and scope of walleye fishery across the continent.
That's cool. And so I will recommend anybody that's going to enter from Canada or elsewhere, make sure you know your regs and regulations so that you're following the rules and we don't get anybody in trouble. But this sounds like an incredible event and a great opportunity, Sean, for people to win some money.
Yeah, we've got over 70,000 in prizes to give away, and a big call out to our lead sponsor, Discount Tackle. What they've provided is 100 $20 gift cards for the first 100 anglers in every single one of those events. So all you have to do is go out and catch a walleye, and you'll automatically win one of the 100 gift cards.
Sounds easy, Mike.
I know. What are some of the other prizes that we could win, Sean?
Yeah, well, 2 great destinations in Northwest Ontario. One's by Sunset Country, the tourism organization, is having an all-expense paid, I think it's a 5 days all-expense paid walleye trip. And then Lac Seul, I think it's Lac Seul Evergreen Lodge is also giving another 5-day all-expense paid trip. And those would be grand prizes. It'll be randomly drawn at the end. So even if you're not catching the longest, keep entering all those walleye. Every single walleye that gets entered is a ballot. So enter as many as you can to increase your odds.
I know a place where we could catch some walleye, Scott. Sean, I have a question for you. I understand that you could enter for free, or you could also pay to be eligible for cash prizes. Can you talk about that a bit?
Yeah, we've expanded a little bit this year. So this concept originated out of Iowa. We've been working with them the last couple of years on this idea, and a core of this tournament is to collect as much data as possible. So traditionally, it's a $25 entry fee. But we also wanted to incentivize people that maybe just didn't want to put in $25 and just wanted to enter their catch. So there's a free category, and the paid categories where you win cash prizes and any other prize you're eligible for. And the free entries, you can qualify for any of the draws and merchandise that's available. So those discount tackle gift certificates, if you enter the free one, you'll earn that right away. So you're already ahead of the game if you're the first 100.
That's awesome. Yeah, it sounds really, really cool. And unfortunately, when it comes to those who are watching our feed, Manny's a pike guy. Jeremy loves his suckers. He likes his pike too. Colin's all bass. Lloyd's a walleye guy. There we go. We got Lloyd up here as a walleye. I was just going to say there's not a lot of walleye. Dean likes his walleye. Corey doesn't mind them either. Stanley, I don't know if you've even caught one, my friend. Charles, I'm sure you like it. Ed, who doesn't? I mean, there is absolutely nothing to know about walleye if you are hanging out with Ed, I'll tell you, because that man knows a heck of a lot about walleye. There's a few up here, but needless to say, very cool and a great opportunity for not only folks across North America to participate, but even folks here in Canada as well. I think that's really awesome of you guys to be able to do that for us.
I got one last question for you, Sean. I know it's on the Anglers Atlas platform, and many of the events on the platform are all about contributing to science. So how does the Midwest Walleye Challenge contribute to science?
Yeah, so the origin of this event started in Iowa, and we've been working with the Iowa DNR the last couple of years. So really, that's where we got to sort of test the model, find out a way that we can have anglers lead the charge in collecting important data to support their walleye management plan. And so since we've done a pretty good job in Iowa the last couple of years, we working with the Association of Fish and Wildlife Agencies. It's the umbrella organization that a lot of the DNRs and Ontario MNRF is also part of that. And we wanted to see, can we scale what we've done in Iowa? So that's where this whole idea came from. So we're working with all the DNRs, or the 12 in the U.S. That are part of the Midwest. Plus, we've got folks from MNRF and the Manitoba fisheries folks on board, just to see if this can support in any way their management plan. And so we have some really interesting uptake in Nebraska as well. They're really interesting to test this idea in a number of fronts, especially in possibly in combination with their fall index netting surveys. So there's some really interesting opportunities to really move the science forward, and really anglers are at the front of the charge here.
That's awesome, man. So not only can you win some prizes, but you can help with walleye research and help with the management of walleye. Ticks a lot of boxes for me.
Yeah, it's a great combination.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's truly awesome. Well, listen, gents, thanks so much for coming on here as quick as you did. Last minute, and Sean, you always come prepared. Thanks so much for being as prepared as you are. Folks, if you want to sign up or want to learn more, is there a website that they can go to, Sean?
Yeah, you can do it two ways. You can go to anglersatlas.com and then our events tab, and then each one of these standalone events, like the Ontario Midwest Walleye Challenge, which starts May 1st, you can just sign up there, and you can look at any of the other events as well. And you can also do it by downloading the MyCatch app, and the events just will show up on your app there.
That's awesome. Listen, awesome. You two, thanks so much for joining, Mike. We got to get going on the fish off, by the way.
Yeah, 100%.
All right, listen, you two, I know really appreciate your time. Thanks so much, and have yourself a great night.
Yeah, great chatting with you guys again. Take care.
Right on. Take care. Right on. Always a pleasure to have Sean and, of course, Mike on. Mike and I haven't got fishing in a while. Well, let's be honest. I mean, has anybody really done a lot of fishing? I know I haven't, but I'd love to get back out on the water. And as I said, Mike would be a great lad to spend some time with. All right, we got Big Jim coming up next. A word from our sponsor first, and then pay attention to his intro. It'll be a lot of fun listening to it.
What is Flash Boost? Shimano designed innovative Flash Boost technology. It keeps flashing, which attracts fish whether in a pause or while retrieving. The mirror plate which is fixed by a spring inside the body, vibrates, with the lure action to generate diffuse reflection. Even if you stop the lure action, the inner plate will move and continue to flash, giving the lure a sense of life and inviting a fish bite. This is Flash Boost.
When he was born, he tried to reel in the umbilical cord. Bass named him as their personal best. His power pole came with a stripper. Forward-facing sonar uses him to find fish. Chuck Norris is his co-angler. He is the most interesting fisherman in the world. Stay fishing, my friends.
Big Jim.
That was cool.
I thought you'd like that. I saw it on an Instagram reel. I've seen it a couple times. I finally downloaded it. I thought, I know a guy that this kind of fits. I know a guy very well that this
Very
fits.
cool.
Anyway, dude, always a pleasure as always to see you, my friend. I want to thank Steve for all of the links that he's providing us tonight. I know, Jim, we had a long discussion last week. I'm hoping I didn't tire you out too much, but man, what a great discussion about everything to do with the Bassmaster Classic, the Canadian anglers that were involved, how well they did. Have you talked to much of them since?
I traded a few texts with Gussie. He's fishing another tournament on Lake Lanier this week for something to do. They weren't allowed to practice. There's no forward-facing sonar, no waypoints in the machines, and they got 4 hours today to look around.
Now, is this an April Fool's joke, or did this actually happen?
100%. No, swear on my mother's grave. Yeah, legit.
So, and Jim, not to get too much into it because so many other people have weighed in heavily on it, but this forward-facing sonar is a hot topic, and it's one that will not go away as long as it's still around. Lots of people have lots of opinions, but at the end of the day, when it comes to tournaments, I don't know how you take it away at this point. I just don't know how.
No, you can't, and it shouldn't be.
Yeah,
it shouldn't be. It's the progression of the sport. It's what it is. And if you think this is something, you have no concept what they have. I had some stuff the other day laid on me by somebody, and it just I needed 3 chairs to sit down because the first one broke. I sat down so hard and I tumbled in. Yeah. And it's coming. It's coming, and it's coming full speed. Electronics, electronics is running our world, eh?
It really is. I'm beginning to wonder, when you watch a movie, they talk about AI and the relevance of AI and how powerful it can be.
Well, when a guy like Elon Musk goes on with Joe Rogan and says he asks him, what's the scariest thing in the world? And he goes, AI.
Yeah. And that's it.
You may agree or disagree with Elon Musk, but the guy's a friggin' genius. It's all there is to it.
100%. Yeah, 100%. There's no reason not to listen to him unless you just don't like the guy. But
and then that's your problem.
Even people we don't like have some, important information and valuable stuff to talk about. So,
Mike Tyson.
Speaking of which, have you been seeing him work out lately? Holy crap, man!
I saw a thing the other day. Some guy got Chuck Liddell at the airport, and he's going in there. I mean, Chuck Liddell's busted up big time. He's done, eh? And he was going in. The guy asked him about it, eh? And they're talking back and forth as he's walking with him. And he looks at him and he goes, "Just remember, the power is your last thing to go. It's the last thing to go when you stay on top of it." Yep. Like I told you about the way I like when I leave the gym. Mm-hmm. I like to unload on the heavy bag when the young kids are at the front deadlifting because they all turn and look. Awesome. When you jump a 200-pound heavy bag with the left hand, I
can only imagine.
I'd probably fall down after I hit you because my mobility's gone away. Be back to being a one-punch wonder.
Speaking of scary, I can only imagine where LiveScope's going to take us. I can only imagine. As pixeled as the image is right now, I can't begin to imagine that you have a clear view like you do above the water, below the water. And I'm sure that day is coming. I don't know if we'll be alive necessarily to see it, but the way it's progressing, I think anything's possible.
Well, it's one thing I heard one of the big lads in the States mention the other day was that the average young angler that's got into it and has become a forward-facing sonar phenom is nowhere near as skilled or has, and I believe that 100%. Because he has had to do a whole bunch of different things. You know, when you see a person today and you look at their deck and there's 10 rods and reels there and they're all light line spinning things, yeah, Skynet, yeah.
Yeah. Computer technology is taking
almost true, but it's there. You know, I watched the thing the other day. I'm a fighter plane buff, as you know. That's my hobby. And I watched some things that they did. I think it's in the Mojave Desert or something. I'm not sure. Someplace down there. And they show a couple of fighter planes, F-18 Growlers, which I thought was funny because they're usually associated with an aircraft carrier.
Yeah.
Because of the, you know, they're just so beefed up and strong to land on carriers and things. But anyways, they drop off these drones. And these drones are given targets, and you see the drones massing and forming a plan amongst themselves that wasn't programmed into them.
Okay. Wow.
And they circle the target. They like they gave them an address somewhere, whatever, I don't know. But you see them go around it in a circle eventually. They all, as soon as they're dropped, they go away from the target, and then you see them all come back in as a group. And that was their own thinking taking over as a group. And that's the kind of stuff I think that when you see Elon Musk talking. Well, don't laugh. I wouldn't doubt 50 years from now you go fishing, you cast out your lure, it hits the water, looks around, sees the biggest fish, and goes and grabs it like that.
Unreal.
You know, who knows? What
you know, and it brings up you know, movies from our past. You know, you think of Terminator, like how far ahead of it was it from its time, and you think of it now.
Skynet.
Yeah, Skynet, not the same thing. Yeah, like, I mean, it is. It truly is, and hopefully we have the power, mindset, and the wherewithal to be the top player on all of it, and we can keep these drones and what have you in line. But yeah, it is scary.
We'd be long gone by then, I think.
I hope so, Jim.
I hope.
I hope so, because when you see ships, you know, running into bridges and all that kind of stuff, well,
they know why that happened.
Yeah,
power go out on the thing. And
well, there's now talk that it was computer generated. That there was it somehow got a course correction when it powered back up that took them in a direction that obviously was into the bridge. So yeah, there's a lot of unknowns, but needless to say, that was horrific. To see a bridge.
I had a guy looking out the window. Hey, there's a bridge up there.
Yeah, no kidding. Oh, baby, we're ready, are we?
Look at that good-looking guy on the cover there.
Oh, Brian, bro, man, come on! It doesn't get any better than that. And I have never seen that man hold up a small fish.
No.
Rosedale always holds up.
Did you see the crappy Gus he caught last week? It was almost 2 pounds.
Yeah, incredible.
That's pretty cool.
It's fun fishing. Like I like it that they're able to get a little bit of R&R after a big event like that and spend some time on the water. It's cool. Very cool to see.
Yeah, we should have that out by right at the beginning of next week.
Oh, okay.
Depending on how far I get my button gear this week. I have, as I was talking to you today, I got so much to do still because I leave here Friday morning to go to Gagnon's.
Yeah.
For Gagnon's sale this weekend there on, I guess it starts Thursday, I think.
Thursday. I think it's Thursday, Friday. I don't know if it's Saturday, but
Saturday and Sunday.
Saturday as well. And so then Sunday, of course, we're at Cancast in Peterborough. But Jim, I know I have to talk to Steve because we still have to put a thing together that we talked about. So we'll have to work on that. Hopefully we get that done sooner than later. What else you been up to?
Just working on the paper tying jigs there. I've got 500 jigs done up here for Gagnon's.
Now, I wanted to ask you, when it comes to the jigs, Jim, is it more of an anxious bunch that you're talking to because It looks like spring is wanting to start a little bit earlier. We're starting to see evidence of some fish, like walleye in particular, start to get staged in the rivers for spawning. Is that rush happening for you this time of
No,
year?
not yet, because the seasons are still the seasons, eh?
Okay.
Yeah, the dates aren't going to change, Like I went to go down here this afternoon. It was really nice here. It got up to like 14. It was dead calm. And I thought to myself, I got to go down the back. And I thought, oh, wait, the end of March, the pike season, because I don't usually, you're not fishing at that time of the year.
Yeah.
I'm usually ice fishing.
It's so true.
I used to be when I fish. So I'm gonna maybe take an hour one afternoon this week if there's a little bit nice weather. But it looks like we're supposed to get all this rain now. They're talking it could be 30, 40 centimeters of snow in Ottawa.
Incredible.
It's gonna melt the next day, but it's still gonna happen. So, and I got the young lad coming home on Wednesday for a little bit. He's coming home to see the eclipse. I think I broke his heart when I told him they said it was supposed to be cloudy on Monday. See, in the Niagara region, they've declared a state of emergency. They think there could be over 1 million people come in to the area. Yeah. No, it's on the news. It's done. They've done it. They did it last week. Kingston's having grief here because Kingston is, I guess, in a straight line. Kingston is, the guy was saying today to me, I don't know, it looks on the map pretty close. It's as close as Niagara, if not closer. Kingston are just east of there, between Gananoque somewhere, where it sticks out, where you at the mouth of the St. Lawrence, because it crosses right over there.
Okay.
It's pretty well the closest spot that there is to it happening. And Kingston's saying their population is going to go from 135 to possibly 500,000 for a day
Because of this eclipse. Wow.
So yeah, so that doesn't work. It's going to be one big traffic jam. I already went down and scouted out some spots along the parkway here, along the Thousand Isles, for the young lad and Tammy to go watch it. I'm indifferent. I couldn't be bothered with it.
Yeah.
I got too much to do anyway. So
I can imagine. I know. I 100%.
Or,
But it is a phenomenon. It's really interesting to see that
pretty cool.
there's so much talk, so much buzz about it. Everybody at
They
work
said there's 50. What did they said? It might have been 50,000 people or 50,000 flights, or no, it couldn't be 50,000 flights. It has to be 50,000 people. They're saying that tomorrow is going to be one of the busiest days ever in American Airlines history.
Well, that's interesting because Eric just mentioned that people bought plane tickets just to watch it. So are they watching it from the air? Is that the idea?
I don't know now.
Interesting.
They said it was. They rhymed off a whole bunch of cities that are just like south of Lake Ontario, like Syracuse, Watertown, all those places right along there.
Oh, Alicia, this is awesome. Alicia's saying, I've seen guides selling once in a lifetime solar eclipse fishing. And Jim, I have to ask, will this have any effect on the fish, in your opinion?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't either. I honestly don't.
Only the fish will know. You'll have one guy somewhere go out and catch a whole bunch of fish and say it was because of that, and do that. I have a buddy of mine the other day, and he has a guide that he hires, and the guy's one of these guys that's a meatball about bananas in the boat. So they went out and they caught 62 walleyes over the day, caught and released. They didn't even keep any. And at the end of the day, when they're driving back in, he puts his feet up and he sits down, opens up his bag, and he's got a banana in each hand.
Wow.
Just as fun. 62 walleyes,
Incredible. Yes.
Not too many people have.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Not too many people have caught 62 walleyes a day. That's a lot of fish.
That is a lot of fish. There's no doubt about it. So yeah, it's based on what I'm hearing here. Niagara Falls has basically a state of emergency has been declared. Her GO trains are putting more to get to the falls.
Yeah, it was on global news. Yeah.
Oh wow. Wow,
it's going to be a snake show. I bet you the 401 Kingston here. One of the guys that comes to the gym told me that they were thinking about closing off Gardner and Division Street. You would have to enter you'd have to get off before or after, depending what direction you're coming, obviously. Because what's going to happen is they're all going to head down to the water. They're all going to go down what is it, Sir John A. Macdonald to Queens and that down that they're all going to go down those two or three roads, Montreal, and they're going to get down there, and there's going to be 10 million cars there, and that'll be that till like 6 o'clock at night or 8 o'clock at night. It'll just be
like you say, a snake show. And knowing the folks here in Brampton, the way the drivers act, U-turns are, it's like making a left-hand turn for these folks. A U-turn's nothing. So I can imagine they're literally going to stop in the middle of major roads. Just, hey, relax, dude. I'm watching the eclipse, man. Relax. It's all good. Yeah, I can just see it now. It's
so my granddaughter, who's how old is she? I think she's 8. The one that did this, Ariella. She puts on the glasses they've got for it, and she says, "Well, these are no good. I can't see anything."
That's hilarious. Well, Chris, to your point, my friend, I catch nothing without an eclipse. I'll probably catch nothing during it. Great comment.
Chris,
and,
that's epic.
That's an honest angler right there, Jim. That's an honest angler.
Get the net.
Get the more like the shovel. Jim, anything else you wanted to mention before we move on?
No, I'm good. It's funny, last week I talked to Kyle about having Kyle come on, and then I realized you had Moosenat, so I didn't bother with him. But I got to tell you, hey, I'm really looking forward to Cancast. It's going to be scary this year. I'm going to get there an hour early from the hotel so I can get my little spot outside the door that I found last year. And Kyle knows where it is. He said he'll already move the fence for me to get in, so I don't have to walk around the building. So.
That's awesome. Yeah, hopefully Kyle and Moose will be joining us a little bit later on. I haven't seen them quite yet pop in the lobby, but yeah, hopefully they'll be with us to talk about it. I'm sure they're just having dinner right now, but yeah, I'm looking forward to that show as I always do, Jim. And I know you're no different.
It's not. Like Kyle did a thing on Facebook today about how they've got 2 entrances now, so it'll cut down on the lineup, and the way they've done it, there's a lot more space for people to go to when they go in now. And he said, you don't have to worry about, the first year they had it up there, it was a little bit of a cluster.
Yeah.
And it was a little bit of a wreck. I mean, but they came in and they bought, they didn't have enough room. They just came in, they bought everything in the place and left. They were like locusts.
Well, and that was the thing. And when you talk about it not going well, I don't think anybody anticipated that size of crowd.
Oh no, and it went well because
absolutely.
The people that got in bought stuff and everything. And last year was ridiculous. Yeah, I talked to a couple of people, and I sort of thought to myself, there's so many people at this thing sort of doing the same thing, and it didn't make a difference. They still had really, really good numbers. They were very happy with what they did. And that's the whole thing with these things. And plus, it's 9 to 4?
Yeah.
Like ding, ding, let's go. There's no messing around with, hotels for a week and days things like, look at the Toronto Sportsman Show when it used to be 10 days. It was ridiculous. If you wanted to go, you had to sell so much stuff because you're paying employees, you're paying hotel rooms and meals, I know in the old days that used to be that booth that Shimano had there, that was a 6-figure escapade. And that was a long time ago, So it just goes to show, you don't realize they'd have 25 guys there and, the hotels and meals and had to get the mini bars filled up.
I was just going to say, yeah. How can we say this in a nice way?
Good old days.
The good old days. Well, Jim will be by the booth at the Shimano booth. I believe you'll be. Are you emceeing as well? Some of the folks that are coming up on stage.
No. Well, there's really no stage there, right?
Okay.
They have a seminar room upstairs, so they got Nick Kusevich coming to speak. They got JP, who's always a good guy. I think Paul Powis is doing something. There's four or five guys, I believe, doing presentations. Bob Izumi.
Bobby's going to be there as well.
I don't know if he's doing a seminar or if he's just there.
I think he's just meet and greet, much like he did last year. He was there to put in a presence, and as I said, it's awesome. And I'm sure it's an awesome feeling for Kyle too, to know that the likes of Big Jim McLaughlin and Bob Izumi are showing up to their shows, because needless to say, you folks have a few under your chin, under your hat. There's no doubt about it. Well, cool. Jim, as always, dude, always a pleasure to spend some time with you on a Monday. and throughout the rest of the week as well. But we will definitely we'll have to work on that promo, man, because there's a lot of cool pictures I think we need to add. But yeah, we'll get that together for you for sure.
Cool. You guys rock.
Right on, dude. Get your time.
Kiddies.
Yeah, thanks so much for your time as always, Jim, and thanks for everything you do for our community. We can't thank you enough. Right on. We got Jay Barnucz coming up right after a word from his sponsor.
Want to know the difference between power bait and other soft plastics? Ask the fish. Berkeley scientists have thousands of flavors tested on thousands of fish. Natural, man-made. Every bait that's ever hit the water. No matter the shape, size, or color, power bait is the only one that is scientifically proven. Fish bite and will not let go.
Jay Barnucz, how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good, brother. How are you doing?
Oh, well, glad to have you back. It was an incredible week. 2 weeks, I guess, really, if you talk about the lead up, the follow up, and the actual event. But great to have you back. Love talking to you. We always get into some great discussions when we're on here on Mondays. But needless to say, where did you want to start yourself?
Well, let's start about we had a good chat backstage about some of this recent controversy in the pro fishing world. So
it is. And there is. So we'll get to that right after this, because this was one of the things I wanted to mention to you.
Yeah.
Jay, this gets my hair up on end when I see this. This is awesome to see. Now, I also get concerned when we show it for reasons that I don't want to discuss here. But let's just say that there is a good number of fish in the autonomy down Lock 19, and thanks to Get Fishing for sharing that with us. And then, of course, I shared this that you shared on top of that is some of these startup hatcheries are now getting ready for the run. Look at all those jars.
Just tugs at the heartstring, doesn't it, Scotty? Just looking at all the and you know more than I do about the hard work that goes into that, right? Like without volunteers, you don't get the results. And you know, there's hatcheries right now all around the Great Lakes warming up to breed walleye for all of us to catch, right? Isn't it awesome?
It really is, Jay. And I appreciate that you appreciate and know full well the amount of work that goes into for those who are paid to do it, and then, of course, those who volunteer their time. And I'd like to say that they're alive and well, all those hatcheries, but they're always looking for volunteers. So let this be a great time and a great segue to say, listen, you want to help out with your local fishery, find out who your rod and gun club is, your conservation group. There's always folks, and there's always spots, and there's always work to be done. So please reach out to them, because as I said, things like that, they're not done by one person. There's no way one person can run that. I know, because I tried, and you will have hills and valleys, but you're basically looking after like in those jars, Jay, roughly, I think it's between sometimes 180,000 to 300,000 eggs that they put in one of those jars. You're in there every day skimming the dead ones off, and if you don't, you know, they'll start to decay and fungi and kill all the other eggs. So you have to be on top of it. You got to make sure the water's flowing. You got to make sure you've got lots of oxygen, and God forbid, if you have a big rain event, you got to filter your water. You got to keep the water clean. You got to throw iodine in it to keep it. Anyway, it is an awful lot of work, and to all those, salute to all of you.
I think it's important to mention, Scotty, that the main stakeholders, the main core of volunteers, are not getting any younger. I think that is the message that's so important. And so these fishing game clubs, like I know the local fishing game club here, like they don't do as much fish work, they do more wildlife work, but they're not getting any younger. They are desperate for help. And you know, it is probably the coolest way for a lot of young people to get their volunteer hours, especially in the province of Ontario, for high school kids. And I know that you know, Trevor and Owen, basically they got almost all their volunteer hours, 40 hours, and they're still going. they're not stopping, has all been giving back to the resource, and they've inspired other kids to do the same. And now, if you read into it, you can get, so with the price of education going up, Scotty, I actually had a chat about this with some fellow parents. Volunteer hours shouldn't stop at 40, because you can be eligible for scholarships by putting in more volunteer hours. So having a good resume with lots of volunteer hours is a great way to get some scholarships. And there's some local groups that do it, as well as like OFAH and others. So I encourage high schoolers out there, so any parents on the podcast or anyone listening who knows high school kids, get them involved in the outdoors to get their volunteer hours, and don't stop at 40. Make it part of their regular experience in the outdoors, because all those things add up to get these kids into scholarships, into the right programs at schools. It all helps. And while they're doing this, they're getting experience. They're getting on the hands-on work experience in fish and wildlife. So I think that's the message tonight, is really push your kids or your friends' kids or your neighbors' kids or your grandkids, push them to get involved. If they're thinking about doing work in natural resources, those hatcheries especially need lots of help. And I can't even list how, I have so many in my head right now, I can't even list them all. But I know that if people on the show are wondering where there are local hatcheries where they can help out, reach out to the show, reach out to Scotty, reach out to myself. We'll put them in touch with guys like Richard Elliott and others who know where they need assistance.
Dude, well, I couldn't have said that any better. Well said. It was almost like you rehearsed it. But yeah, and Steve, thanks for bringing this up as well. This past weekend, the Coburg Creek group did a fish lift, as they always do. And it was nice to see a core group of young anglers and teens that were basically doing the majority of the work, because unfortunately some of us old guys, we can't move around as well as we used to. So we love having some of you young folks there. And I'll tell you ever want to feel good about yourself, show up to one of these events, because guys like me will be patting you on the back, giving you high fives, maybe tossing you a drink and Lord knows what else. But we love to see the young people out there. So don't think for a second this is an old boys crowd. It isn't. We welcome all the youth, because you folks are you're the workforce, if you will say.
Well, and the skills the kids learn, like just my own experience with Trevor and Owen helping out with the live release boat, for example. So John at Long Point Bay Anglers, they don't just help put fish in the tanks. They release the fish. They help John fill the tanks up. They help John launch the boat. Like launching a giant live release boat by yourself is a challenge. And so those two boys have been involved in all aspects of Long Point Bay Anglers. And that's just two kids in one local group. And all these local groups, like Alicia, you just mentioned the Thames River Anglers and the Blue Water Group, again, two great clubs that are always looking for help. So, and it's, can you find a better way? And don't just drop your kids off. This isn't like, house league baseball where you just drop your kids off and go get a Tim's. Go with your kids, spend that time with them. It's such valuable time, for sure. So
you're so right. And I'm loving some of these comments that like, for instance, Jay is sharing in regards to the folks, the young folks that are out there doing a lot. They're logging a lot of hours, and you know what? They're making us all proud. Corey, yeah, absolutely. As volunteer, we have volunteer firefighters, we have volunteer paramedics. We can't thank those folks enough. And just to go back quickly, hopefully I can find it, but that event that's going to be on Long Point during the eclipse, I think is really, there it is, Collins Harbor. The solar eclipse event on Long Point Bay. That sounds interesting. And are you planning to go to this event?
Yeah. So it's kind of cool. So I'll give a shout out to Marshall Collins. I'm sure that's Marshall who posted that. Everyone, I know I didn't talk about it much this year because there wasn't much ice fishing down here, none at all. But Marshall and their crew down there, like they're the ones that set up that on ice taxi with that cool sled where you can take people out. Well, so what they've done down at Collins Harbor is they have this huge parking area and a big double ramp, and they're going to throw like an eclipse party. They got a food truck or two coming down there, and you could park for a fee. Just instead of launching a boat, I'm just going to go pay my $20 and park with the family down there, and we're going to have a hot dog and watch the eclipse. So it'll be fun. I'm looking forward to it. Why not?
Great venue, absolutely. And
Yeah.
needless to say, anybody who has an event that's going on in their area that they would like to promote, they'd like to, show off, send us a video, like Jay just mentioned. Send us a video, send us a pic, send us your synopsis, a little, paragraph to, identify those who you want to thank that should be identified. We'd love to promote it because at the end of the day, there's a lot of this stuff going on, and we don't necessarily have a place to promote it all. But we'd love to do it at CFN for our community, because our community truly, truly appreciates it.
Yeah, Ed mentions working at Cloca. When I was there working as their biologist around 2004 and 5, we did some huge creek cleanups. And the Cloca guys who work so at the Conservation Authority level, I'm the biologist. I didn't have access to all the toys. But the guys who do the park work, the park wardens and that, they showed up with their gators, and those trails along Oshawa Creek, Scotty. I was ripping up and down those gators, hauling shopping carts out of the creek, and it was a ton of fun. And the best part was we brought all the garbage back to the Cloca office. There was pictures of the group in front of these big mounds of shopping carts and tires, and it was a ton of fun, a lot of fun. Yeah.
Well, not probably the easiest or best segue to get into the controversy that is sometimes the fishing industry, but I think how we're going to discuss it and handle it, Jay, is how it should be handled and discussed going forward. I'd love to see all anglers be able to, just pump the brakes a second. I mean, there are things that have to happen. There's things that have to be brought to people's attention. It's an unfortunate situation when it comes to tournaments, because you do rely on your anglers to be honest, and you can play that card all you want that you trust everybody, but unfortunately there are people out there that make mistakes, whether knowingly or not knowingly. And Jay, I'm going to leave it there, and I'll let you pick it up and run.
Sure.
With it.
Well, so we're going to talk about a situation that happened would have been almost 2 weeks ago now. So there was Bassmasters had an open on Santee Cooper, and Brian New, after review, after the event, was disqualified. And now after Brian was disqualified, he put some posts up on social media, of course, and basically admitting wrong, but he was disappointed that he was turned in by an angler, and that angler admittedly was Andrew Upshaw. And Andrew has a YouTube channel. I follow Andrew. He does a great group. Him and Ish Monroe and Matt Pangarak. They do a show every week about the fantasy fishing team I follow. And Andrew's a great guy. He's always putting up great content, not to be controversial. And Andrew basically Brian New called up Andrew Outshaw, called him out on social media. So Andrew defended himself. And the story goes like this. They were all fishing a bay or a creek on Santee Cooper, and they were spawning season. So they're bed fishing. And we're not here to discuss the pros and cons of bed fishing. Bed fishing in a bass tournament in the spring is common practice in the U.S. We all know that. And as the story goes, Brian was fishing a bed of a fish. It was not, he couldn't catch that fish. And instead of leaving the bed and letting someone else fish it, because there was other anglers in the area that visually saw Brian fishing a bed, and all the anglers were bed fishing in this creek. Well, what he did was he basically disturbed the bed with his trolling motor, kind of gunned it back and forth to cloud up the water to discourage another angler from fishing it. And this was not Andrew's bed to fish. There was another angler that was like, "What the heck, Brian? Why are you doing this?" Andrew witnessed the infraction. Andrew saw it as unsportsmanlike, and the rules in tournaments more or less read like this. If you commit an infraction or witness an infraction, you're responsible to report it. Andrew reported it, and it went to the tournament director. The tournament director then brought in a tournament committee to review it. The Bass, typically their format is the tournament director will review an infraction report with two other anglers who are not involved in the tournament. So they try to be as objective as possible in their decision. And that committee decided that what Brian did was wrong. It was seen as unsportsmanlike, and so his weight was disqualified. and Brian's upset about it. But I don't. He admits what he did was wrong, but why he's attacking Andrew Upshaw is that's what's disappointing. Andrew did the right thing. Andrew did something that's not easy to do. Like, it could be as simple as, let's say I was in a kayak tournament, Scotty, and an angler didn't have a proper navigation light on their kayak. Let's say they had the red and green, but the white one on the back wasn't working. Yeah, I could still see them, but you're supposed to have a 360 light visible at all times. And if they don't have that light, it's an infraction. I as a competitor in that event am responsible to report that angler to the tournament director. If you don't, so this is going to sound weird, but if a third angler saw me fishing by that other kayak and I didn't report it, I could also be at fault. That's just how bass works. And Andrew did the right thing. And I don't know. I don't feel bad for Brian. Like, I do in a way. He got disqualified. That sucks. But what he did was wrong. Plain and simple.
So, Jay, again, discussing the details as you did, I was really looking forward to, because it's not something that I'm not as good at spending a lot of time on the details, because it sometimes becomes a he said, she said, and I look for the underlying message. And to your point, I don't know either one of them, but I will say I respect Andrew simply because of how he approached the whole disconnect, all of the controversy that was caused with it. Still, at the end of the day, if you look at the entire video, he goes on to compliment Brian and say, great things about it. But he's like,
yeah,
at the end of the day, I was tasked to do something because these tournaments require me to do it. People have to follow the rules. And if I can't perform my duty, then what does that say about the tournament? What does that say about the anglers that are in the tournament? And the fallout that has come. And I hope Andrew survives. And I'm sure over time, time heals
it'll
everything.
Be fine. Yeah.
It'll be fine. But I think it is a more important message, not only just to follow the rules. And if you don't, you're going to be subject to some of your peers calling you out. And there's nothing I would hate more as an angler than having a Jay Barnucz or a big Jim McLaughlin or a Lawrence Gunther or a Moose say, hey, Scotty, you're fishing out of season, or you can't keep that fish, it's too big, or whatever. I'd hate that. I wouldn't be able to deal with that. So how he's dealing with it, I have to tip my hat. But I want to share this video and I did segment it and edit it up a little bit, because the message that I want to push out is not only it's important to say when things are being done incorrectly or illegally, it's important to step up, but it's also important to realize the sacrifice that individual is making. And if they can prove it and it's substantiated and it's corroborated from other people, as Andrew will go on to say, then you got to respect the process. Yeah. And the process isn't, stomping your feet and yelling and becoming a Karen. It's owning it. It's you screwed up, you own it, man. Just own it. Don't make this, an SHIT slinging session. And that's unfortunately where I think this went. But what I want to play is Andrew's segmented, edited message that I think is really important for all of us anglers, especially when it comes to social media. So have a listen.
It's a crazy world we live in when the person that actually calls somebody out for doing something wrong is torn down more than the person that actually did the wrong thing. When this was something that I struggled with immensely when I turned him in, because I didn't want to turn in somebody that I actually considered a friend. I mean, based off everything that's been going on in the fishing industry, I actually thought that this might actually be a good thing. And it could be seen as a good thing, because all we've done in this fishing industry the last, I don't know how many, 10 years, 15 years, it's been nothing but people cutting other people off and all this drama on the water 24/7. And what I saw was not right. And I called him out. And I don't know what happened, like, to the point where like an angler can't call out another angler. We have to be better. We have to be better.
Yeah. And I think that is the message that I want to send home, and that's on both sides. So those who are calling folks out, make sure you know the rules. Make sure before you go down that path, especially when it comes to tournament angling. Make sure you know the rules, because, man, are you gonna at the end of the day, Andrew would get no sympathy if in fact he was wrong, right?
Yeah, and so the way it would have worked is Andrew would have gone to the tournament director, and Andrew would have said, "Here's what I witnessed." If the tournament director didn't feel that it was an infraction or a violation of the rules, the tournament director would have said, "Andrew, it's not a problem." That's what would have happened. But because it was deemed as unsportsmanlike, it went to a review panel and at the time, now the way these typically work is also like you have so many hours after the event. So Brian actually won. He did quite well in that tournament, and he cashed a check. And I think that the judgment came down. I'm going to say it was at least a few days after the event. So now, if you're going to file a complaint against a competitor, typically there's a window of time. It's usually around 24 hours to 48 hours after an event. It'll be in the rules. And sometimes you have to put money up front to do that, to file a protest. Like, I know in some events I've been in, if you want to file a protest, you got to put money up. You got to put in $50 or $100 and say, "I'm filing a protest against this angler. They blew a no wake zone," let's say. If your protest is upheld and it goes to the next level, you get your $100 back. You get your deposit back. If it's not upheld, you might lose that money. Like, they want you to be serious. They just don't want you complaining because someone cut you off going down the bank, or like some of this stuff. And you see blowups of this online where one angler's coming this way, one angler's coming this way down a bank, and they don't like, there was poor communication there, let's say, about who's fishing that bank first or that dock first. Anglers have to learn to sort this out themselves and communicate on the water. And sometimes there are run-ins that necessarily don't violate the rules, but they, how should I say this? They need to sort it out themselves and be adults about it. But sometimes I think in the heat of the moment, people make bad decisions. And what it comes down to is the integrity of the sport, Scotty. And I think that what we're seeing is in some of these tournaments, and don't kid yourself, these issues we're talking one of the highest levels of bass tournaments. If for those who have fished tournaments who are on this call, and I know a lot of myself and peers who have fished events, Jim could probably tell stories. This is not the first time stuff like this happens. A lot of this stuff isn't even talked about, although people will take sides and talk in the background. But in this case, the infraction was observed and he did the right thing. And sometimes, dude, taking the high road is not the easy road, man. And I think Andrew did the right thing. He took the high road and did the right thing. So
on that topic, and I think that, it's easy to relate it to a tournament where it's something that, there are obviously rules that we have to follow. It's not necessarily ethics like us sport anglers have to, follow. So let's think for a second and let's take away the tournament aspect of it. Here's where I want to dive in. And when Andrew talks about we need to be better, here's what we need to be. I say this all the time to people. When you get into a confrontation on social media and you have to make that choice, everybody has to make that choice. There's a few people out there that will call you out and they'll try and engage you and get you involved. You have to make a decision. Is it important for me to be right, or is it important for me to be happy with myself? Right. And really, at the end of the day, when you get into some of these discussions and arguments on social media, there's no way you're going to be either. You sometimes have to pick one or the other because you can't be both. And that's the only thing that I'm talking to the wrong people, because these people know exactly how to conduct themselves on social media. Jay, you are, again, a great mentor on that as well. But when it comes time that you need to address somebody, think once, think twice, think very hard, because at the end of the day, what you're doing, if in fact they're wrong, is you're bringing yourself down to their level. Now you get into this cat fight, and at the end of the day, you just get scratched up and dirty like the guy beside you. And really, what did he gain? will he gain the fact that he's brought you down to his level? So always remember, is it really important that I step up and engage this person? Is it really important for me to get my point across? Because that's what I see with Andrew is he knows he's right. You can feel the emotion. Like
right.
He knows he's right. And he just wants Brian to own it. That's all he wants is just own what you did, dude. I can't help what I saw, and I'm required by the tournament to say my piece. But like, dude, just own it. Yeah. And I think if we're able to do that, I think we can abide to what Andrew's trying to suggest, that we all become a little better. So anyway,
and I think when it comes to events like Scotty, we've seen it with the fish off. We've seen it with anytime there's an event, a competition, especially when there's money or prizes on the line. Sometimes the worst comes out in people. It does. And at the end of the day, it's meant to be fun. But going on social media and calling someone out, and sometimes people call people out just because their feelings are hurt, but they were in the wrong. Yeah. But then going on social media to air your laundry, that is not the way to do it. Brian was at fault. He got disqualified by an objective panel, and he still aired his laundry. And I think that's where the sport loses a little bit of integrity right there, even though everything was handled professionally. And I know that Bass won't lose any sleep over what they did. Mm-hmm. I feel bad for Andrew Upshaw because in that video, he even said he came straight home from his kid's baseball game, and he wasn't wearing any sponsor colors in that video because he wanted it to be clear it was him talking, not his sponsors talking. And, that was really him talking from the heart. And but he did the right thing. And in time, this will blow over. And I think that the truth prevails and we move on. And this is not going to be something that's going to carry on for a long time. I think it's going to be dead in the water pretty quick. But my heart goes out to Andrew for doing the right thing. It really does. And I've been in this situation before too, and where I've been called out on stuff before in events, and I basically came out and I said, here's what I did, and the judges ruled. Every time has been in my favor, but sometimes I also step away from events where I'm like, this was supposed to be fun, and now someone doesn't like that I'm doing that I did well or something, and that happens. But we can't lose sight of why we're doing this, man. We're doing this to have a good time. We're doing this as a hobby to enjoy what we do and how we spend our free time, right? And it's unfortunate. I know these guys are doing it for a living, so it's a little bit different. At the same time, they are under the same scrutiny as those who are in the fish off, because those who are competing in our grassroots events have just as much passion for fishing as Brian News and Andrew Upshaw's, right? So, yeah,
very true. Well said, dude. To get back to some of the topics I like to discuss. You shared a paper with me before you left for Oklahoma in regards to the relationship between walleye and spawning and these early ice-off dates, which is really interesting. Adam Hinterther. Is that the name?
Yeah, that's close. Yeah, you got it.
He put together, and it's a really easy read. I don't have the link for it, but I'm sure Jay will be able to share it. But it's an interesting synopsis and research that has gone into the relationship, as I mentioned, with what we are experiencing. I don't necessarily want to call it global warming. It's just we are seeing a pattern in our springs that are a lot shorter. They're a lot quicker to where it comes to the warm up, the ice out. Everything is quick. It's not this gradual thing like we used to have. It seems immediate and sometimes drastic, like we're going to see this week. We'll talk about the weather in a sec. But according to a new study published February 26, the walleye, Midwestern walleye in the United States and in Canada are having effects. They're seeing effects when it comes to the spawn. Now, why do you folks in the audience might say, well, why would that matter? Like if the ice goes out, the water temperature warms up, the fish, they spawn. Well, as I mentioned, Jay, as you could attest, we have these springs that unfortunately don't follow a pattern that these fish are used to. Not only that, the food web isn't used to either. So the last thing, and I'll make it very simple, the last thing you want is an early spawn, and you got all these million walleye fry running around looking for zooplankton that aren't there yet because the water has not got enough nutrients to create the phytoplankton, to feed the zooplankton, to feed the walleye fry. I'll let you take it from there, Jay.
Yeah. So, we talked about this on the show last year. We talked about the yellow perch in Lake Erie. That's what we thought about this, right? So we're seeing this downswing in the perch population. We're seeing states like Ohio and Pennsylvania where they've reduced catch limits for perch because the perch numbers are down. And it's been theorized that the perch numbers are down because without ice cover, we aren't getting the proper conditions for perch spawning. So the perch successful spawns are down, and I know there's people out there that think, well, the walleye population is through the roof, they're eating all the perch. No, the scientists believe that it's actually poor perch spawning that's causing the decline in perch, not the being fed on by walleye. And so I think what we're seeing here is with these changing weather patterns, where we get typically warmer springs, what the real cue for fish to spawn, and different species are a little bit different, but basically it's what's called growing degree days. And if anyone who's been in the farming community knows this, that you need so many growing degree days before you got to put your seeds in the ground for success. Now you could still have an early or a frost in May, and it affects your seedlings, all that kind of stuff. But you don't put your seeds in the ground until you hit the right temperature or degree days. And degree days, in layman's terms, are basically the degree is at a certain point for a period of time. It's kind of like a moving average. Well, if we don't have that, if walleye are spawning earlier because the water is warming quicker every year, but the systems aren't responding, all the parts of the ecosystem are not responding the same way. So, Scotty, you're right. It raises an interesting question where if the walleye are spawning earlier and then they're hatching earlier, and then the fry don't have enough to eat because the zooplankton, the phytoplankton, the zooplankton, those blooms haven't started enough yet, because we know that young of the year, be it walleye, be it bass, be it perch, all of our big game muskies, northern pike, they all rely on at the larval stage, they rely on plankton, zooplankton, and the zooplankton need phytoplankton, which is the plants. If we aren't having enough plankton, be it zooplankton and phytoplankton in our systems, we have a food source that's not available to the fry, and that takes it all out of balance. Now we say all this, and we're seeing right now, like look at this week, we're gonna have snowstorms and things, so that might reset the clock a little bit on this year's spring. But we're seeing these trends, and so that paper doesn't just look at 1 year; it looked at a number of years, and sort of it looked at the change in these weather patterns over the past decade or two, and it shows a change in those weather patterns, and walleye are spawning earlier. So they're hypothesizing that you may not see enough food for those juvenile walleye. What does that mean? Well, it's hard to fight that one, because in some cases, Scotty, we might adjust seasons where we can adjust the start date. We can adjust the start date to accommodate for harvest, but harvest is not the issue. We can't feed larval walleye. How do we do that on a mass scale? I don't know. So I think what's important is knowing that there are fisheries folks out there who are actually studying this, who we don't assume that things are great all the time, because if we do that, then we run into issues where it's hard to go back, right? If we let things go for too long, it's hard to go back. So understanding how these things are happening, and if recruitment starts to drop, then we need to look at, maybe we need to adjust our seasons or adjust our limits, or both. So I'm happy they're out there doing this research. It is a little troubling, but I think it's good that they are doing it so that we have evidence to show that maybe we need to change how we manage things.
Absolutely. Well said, Jay, as always. One thing too that I wanted to mention, you have seasonal changes that we typically somehow mirror what's going on in the water. So, the cherry blossoms come out, all of a sudden, the walleye are in the river. There's various other things that people will identify as a timeline, or at least the bar in terms of where it starts, where it ends, and what you should expect. This was something that I asked back in the 90s when we were gathering walleye out of the Bay of Quinte. And typically, I would say a good portion back in the early 80s, they'd all run the rivers. All the walleye would run the rivers. And all of a sudden, they were starting to notice that these walleye were spawning on shoals. Mid-lake shoals, near shore shoals, but they were starting to spawn on shoals. And some folks had the idea that they're doing this because there's not enough room in the rivers. That might be the case, but I want to throw this at you, Jay. Is it possible that when these walleye are staging in these larger waterways, and I'm thinking Lake Erie, I'm thinking Bay of Quinte, is it possible that they say the water's warm enough? The mate that I'm looking for is right over here. Like, instead of going upstairs, why don't we just do it here in the living room, kind of thing? Do you know what I'm saying? And I got some interesting looks from folks, and like they never thought of it. But is it possible that these walleye could have transitioned into shoal spawners because of these climatic events?
It's possible. Like, there's a feature out there that all living animals will kind of bend to, which is called phenotypic plasticity, which is basically we make adjustments in our behaviors based on environmental conditions. So, it could be fish will spawn sooner, fish will spawn later. In the case of walleye, it could be like walleye and like, let's even steelhead, for example. Like, if there's no water in the river, what are the steelhead going to do?
Absolutely.
Right. So in the case of walleye, they've probably gone to, maybe they've gone to being, or some of the fish in the population, not all, but some have gone to being shoal spawners in the event that maybe the rivers don't have enough water in them at the right time of the year, because you can't add water to systems. Like, that's like, you either have it or you don't, right? And the challenge in Ontario and most of Canada, for this matter, is we rely on natural reproduction. That is great, and that's also a little frightening, right? Stocking isn't the answer, though, because then we dilute the genetics of those good wild stocks, which the wild fish, even if they're low in numbers, they're still a lot more resilient to weather changes and other issues in the ecosystem. But I do think that fish will adapt, and fish do change over time. And I think I agree with you. I can recall back in the 90s being in college, and the walleye spawning on the shoals. It was a big topic because of that was when crappie was coming into the Carruthers. Remember that, Scotty? So this is in the early 90s. I remember working on Rice Lake, doing creel surveys in 1995. I was there for the summer, and the crappie were just coming into Rice then. And dude, they were so many crappie and big ones. Like, dude, they would leap out of the water. Like, we had to use 6-pound tests because they break 4-pound tests. Like, it was amazing. But those crappies were decimating the walleyes, right? Those shoal spawning walleyes in Rice, those larval walleye were getting chewed on by all those crappie. And 5 years before, there was like no crappie in that system in Rice. Now the systems have kind of come into balance, I think, somehow. And that's what happens. Things can go back again. Like, we're talking about this lack of plankton is an imbalance. That could flip the other way to a positive again in time, right? But I think it's good, though, to note when these systems get out of balance and we study that balance and we understand what impacts that. And maybe we flip it. Maybe when it flips back the other way, we have data to support that. You know what? We were concerned here, but we see that nature has fixed itself. Don't rely on nature to fix itself. It's good to study nature so we understand it. I think that's what's important. But 100%. Walleye, like all other fish, man, they're survivors, man. You know,
and I want to say that. I want to say that the natural fish, those fish that are resident to that body of water, are a lot more susceptible to adapting to their environment than, I would say, a broodstock, like fish that are held in a tank or in a pond. Those wild run fish, they're able to adapt a lot better. Yeah, as I said, great points that you bring up. There's a lot of discussion I can see in the comments in regards to different species of fish. And but yeah, just I wanted your opinion on that, because I know that walleye are shoal spawners, but I think inherently they are known to be river sponsors, especially here in Canada, more river spawners than shoal. But to go one step further, we talk about the year classes of walleye each and every year on Lake Erie. Now, folks, I hope you understand, when Jay and I get excited about it being a banner year class again for walleye, when you have this moving target all the time, which is eclipses, climate, temperature, water quality, pollution, you name it, to get it right, year 1, year 2, and 5 years in a row, that is exceptional. It's not often a walleye fishery you see those kind of results.
But don't forget, like, when it comes, so how should I put this without sounding too much like a wise ass? We are the biggest problem, right? So we as predators are the biggest problem. If we weren't out there eating walleye, if walleye did not taste so darn good, and we're not popular sport fish, these cycles would happen and we wouldn't even know it. And you would see, like, let's take like freshwater drum in Lake Erie. Okay. If their populations declined and came back up and declined again, we wouldn't even, we would notice, but it wouldn't even be discussed. Right. But because walleye are so bloody popular, and if we have some weak year classes that come through because of a changing climate, well, how do we manage those stocks if we're going to keep eating at our greedy rate? That's the problem, right? Like, we don't allow these fish to, hey, they had some bad years, let's let them rebound. Then that's what they're doing in the US with the perch, is they're trying to give those perch a bit of a fighting chance. Now, they've just taken the perch numbers down from, instead of keeping like 50 each, you're allowed to keep like 20 each. Like, it's not like you can't eat perch, but in the end, we have to manage walleye because we love eating them too much. That's the problem.
100%. Jay, one thing I do remember, were you there in the spring at Rice Lake doing creel samples?
Oh yeah, we were there we started walleye opener, so that would have been Mother's Day weekend, and I worked every weekend that summer. I did 2 creels on Rice in 95 and 2000. I did both. They do them every 5 years. So in 95, I was in my second year of college, and then in 2000, there was a group that got the bid for that, and then they hired me to run that creel because I had done it before. So yes, dude, I lived in Gore's Landing in a hut. I'm going to call it a hut, not even a cabin, in a hut. And I lived there the entire summer. In fact, I didn't even own a car when I got up there, and I lived on the lake. Like, I had rented a boat to go get groceries and to get food and laundry, literally.
Well, you know what I want to do at this point right now is I want to thank you because I was there in 95. I remember the weather being absolutely horrible for at least 2 straight days. It was absolutely the coldest, wettest, crappiest friggin' weather you could imagine. And I said, yeah, no, I don't want to be a fisheries biologist. This is
what, dude, I'll tell you, I remember that summer or spring, and I remember we had 2 boats. They were both Lunds, 19 or 18-foot Lunds with a big Bimini top and we had it zippered right up, like all the way to the back. It was like Bay of Quinte fall fishing style, right? And we would get out to our sector. So one of our sectors, the big one, was in front of Golden Beach from the railway crib over to like Sugar Island. And we would do our lap. So this is how creel surveys are done for those that want to know. Rice Lake they break lakes up into sectors. So Rice Lake had 5 sectors. The main lake was in 4 sectors, and then the Otonabee River was number 5. So you get to your sector at 6 a.m. So you'd have to leave your cottage in time to get there. In those days, dude, we didn't have GPS. We had a compass, and you just knew how to get to Tick Island without hitting the crib. And I was 19 years old. So we get to the crib, and we do our loop. So I would idle around. We had 1 hour to do our sector. We count how many boats. And sometimes you count like 4 boats on those miserable days, like 4 boats. And then you would interview those 4 guys like 3 times, like all day. And they hate talking to you, right? And you're my voice is still cracking like I was probably 18 or 19. Hi, everybody. I'm Jason from M&R, and I'm here to talk to you about what fish have you caught today? And they'd be like, you just talked to us 2 hours ago. Just leave us alone, right? But we put up with all kinds of weather. At the same time, I remember boating up to the Otonabee River in July and getting to the lock and going for ice cream on the sunny days and getting a really bad sunburn on creel surveys too. So I always tell people, if you want to do one of the best and worst jobs at the same time as a summer student, do a creel survey. You will learn a lot about yourself.
And you might learn that you don't want to be a fisheries biologist. I tell you, that drove me away. It drove.
Now, George, give me a break. I'm sure creel has changed since 1995. So, George, cut me some slack, dude. That was 30 years ago when I did that creel survey.
Holy smoke.
Wow. And we filled out all the forms by hand. And if we didn't fill them out properly, we got fined for forms that weren't filled out properly. That was part of the contract. M&R would fine us. We go to the FAU office in Lindsay, and they would review our forms. And if your penmanship wasn't good, you got dinged so many cents per form. It was part of the contract. So
fascinating stuff as always, Jay. Listen, dude, I'd love to talk to you all night, as I do all you panel guests, because I tell you, you are a wealth of information. You're very entertaining. It doesn't matter what subject we're talking about.
Yeah,
you always got lots to say, and we appreciate that, Jay.
Dude, and I want you to talk to Kyle and Moose about Cancast, because it's coming. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to it. Just found out that Trevor is not working on Saturday and Sunday, so we are gonna probably stop at Gagnon's on the way up. We're gonna hit Gagnon's sale. When I was living in Peterborough, there was like no tackle shops in Peterborough when I lived there, so Gagnon's was my place. And Heather and I did lots of shopping trips to Gagnon's, and in fact, when we're heading east, if we're on the 401, we still stop at Gagnon's. That's like a usual stop for us. So we're gonna stop at Gagnon's, check out their sale. And then we're going to hit, I'm just giving up my itinerary. Not that I'm going to be giving out autographs or anything, but so we're going to do Gagnon's. And then I want to get to, I see that Evan and Danny are giving a fishing seminar with the Crowley brothers from 5 till 7 at Shoeless Joe's. I'm sure Kyle and Moose will fill you guys in. That's, if you are a bass angler and you're in the Peterborough area Saturday night, hit that talk. I know it's going to be a great bass talk. Then the socials after, and then the next, and I'm a short walk stagger from the social, okay, and then we're gonna hit Cancast on Saturday or Sunday morning. So I'll be floating around. I just got word this week from the Pure Fishing guys that Fenwick and Berkeley and Abu's gonna have a booth there, which is really cool. So I assume I'll be hanging around that, or I'll be at the Doss King booth, or at the Raw Fish booth, or at the I got to get it right. Outdoor Power Box. Enzo rebranded his company, which is really cool. Like for Enzo. Like, I think that's great, right? So shout out to Enzo and the Outdoor Power Box. That's great. So I'll be there. It's going to be a ton of fun. Looking forward to it.
So what you're saying, Jay, is this is going to be one day a collector's item?
It is a collector's item. I got my jersey. Where's my jersey? I got my jersey back here. Enzo's already texted the family what size jersey is what size hoodie is Jay and Trevor and Heather and Stephanie, because he wants us to upgrade it. And I said, for sure. So so hopefully I get my new hoodie on the weekend, because that'd be great. So shout out to everyone who's going to go to Cancast. There's so many people there, and honestly, I'm gonna end with kudos to Kyle, and I'm gonna give a shout out to Sean McCall and Mark Hunter and everyone who's been pumping this event. It's going to be a lot of fun. And I know I regretted not going after hearing how good it was last year. So I am making the trip. It's going to be a ton of fun. So I look forward to hearing about the show after I'm off.
As I said, it won't disappoint. It never does. And it's usually the highlight of the early part of spring, because at that point we can't fish a lot other than say catfish and steelhead. And with the weather that's coming, you steelheaders, I hope, are getting excited.
You know, the fishing has been really rough when I've organized. Look at this.
Yeah.
Look, label maker. You know, like, dude, you know, the fishing's tough when I'm as organized as this, right? So this only happens when the fishing is slow. So there's no ice, and walleye's closed. Pike just closed down here. I could go sucker fishing, but I see snow in the forecast, and I'm like,
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll get out after Cancast. I'll hit the water, and the weather looks better. So this week I'm indoors, going to keep doing this, getting organized, and I'll see you guys on Saturday and Sunday.
Right on, buddy. We'll see you there. Thanks so much
All
for
right.
joining us as you do every Monday, Jay. Really appreciate it, my friend.
See you guys. Thanks again.
Enjoy your week. You take care. Here, Moose is coming on with Kyle right after a word from our sponsor.
When it comes to Canadian food, we've got your back with flavors like lemon pepper, beer batter, campfire barbecue, lemon pepper dill, garlic butter and chives, and crispy Cajun. We've got a mix for every meal. Whether you're serving East Coast shrimp, West Coast salmon, succulent walleye, chicken wings, or veggies, we've got you covered. Coat your food in outdoor flavors. Available online or at these fine retailers.
Moose is in the house.
What is up? What's going on? How are you, buddy?
Well, my blood pressure now that this cute fella's here in front of me. How you doing, my friend?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Tired. It's been a long few weeks. I'll tell you that. But all is well in the hood.
Attaboy, right on. Well, before we bring in Kyle, I know you and I have had a lot of fun watching this show evolve. It's been an honor and a pleasure to be a part of it, as we have been. Looking forward to it again this weekend. Like some of the highlights. What are some of the highlights for you of this show? Obviously, the social.
Yeah, you know what? Deals. It's one of those shows that you don't want to miss. There's a ton of great deals. There's a ton of great product. And at the end of the day, it's just a way to reconnect with everyone after a long winter. It is and Kyle said it time and time again, it's the social aspect of fishing. It's just before we all head out to the water and, start doing our own thing at the cottages. My hands are blue. Weird. Just noticed that. I was washing the boat. So just seeing everyone and getting those last minute deals before the season ramps up.
Sounds awesome. Well, without further ado, let's bring in the man, the myth, the legend that has put this together, and I'm sure can't wait to get going, the one and only Kyle Carruthers. How you doing tonight, Kyle?
Good. How you guys doing?
Well, first and foremost, I want to say thank you for joining us. I hope you had a great Easter weekend, but more importantly, thanks for your time, Kyle, because I know how busy you are right now. So I really appreciate you coming on.
No, I wouldn't miss this for the world, man. I'm just finishing up some stuff. I'm packing a suitcase. I actually got to fly to California at 4:30 in the morning tomorrow for 3 days before the show.
Crazy.
So, sorry, let me fix my hat here. This camera's got me all messed up. So I'm flying to California. Hopefully I don't get stuck there, because if I do, someone else is going to have to run the show. But I think we'll be okay. And then, but we're all I'm feeling good actually now. I'm we're ready to go. Everything is done that we can possibly do. And all we can do now is wait for the setup to start. So we're a week ahead of schedule. I even called Moose today. I'm there's only one last minute thing we really thought of that I need him to print, and we're done. We're ready to rock. So everything's ready to go. The trailers are loaded. Just wait for Saturday and we start wheeling in. So I'm feeling good.
Awesome stuff. Well, let's get right into it, Kyle, because I know your time is extremely valuable. But of course, this weekend, as we mentioned, April 7th, at the Peterborough Arena. If you're familiar where that is, it's downtown Peterborough. And,
thank God that's not the poster with the spelling error.
Which one, Moose?
Right? Listen, honestly, it's been. Nope, that one has the right spelling.
We're good.
Half the time we're chatting back and forth early morning or late night because he's busy, I'm busy, and I'm whipping together some graphics, and we miss things. I think our last little hiccup, man, we missed the same things 3 or 4 times, whether it was spelling or dates or.
Yeah, he'd send it over and he's like, "This is good." I'm like, "Yeah, it looks great. Let's rock and roll." And then someone else look at it and be like, "Dude, what are you doing?" We had we got to tell the Hall of Fame one. We had the Muskie panel with Bass Hall of Fame inductees on the bottom, for the Muskie panel. It was just we're going way too quick. So we're like,
way
okay,
too
let's just
fast. He's
slow-
sending, he's emailing names, and I'm just
Yeah.
putting things in. And
Yeah, we're on the phone with each other trying to build this poster. Anyways, it's all good fun, but
yeah,
no, we're
so
ready.
there's-
We're ready to rock there. And man, I'm like actually, the nerves have kind of gone away, and the excitement's like kicked in now.
That's
So
awesome, dude.
That's
Well,
it's a
speaking
good
of
feeling.
exciting, tell us a little bit about Bubba. I mean, to have Bubba here and be a main sponsor, dude, that's exceptional, man. How did that all come to be?
Yeah, well, actually, so like our agency, Greywood, we got the contract to handle Bubba for Canada in starting November, and I went to the marketing team down at Bubba and I said, look, I know this might seem kind of biased because it's me and we're handling your sales and all that, but here's what I want to do with Bubba. Here's the plan. And they're like, okay, what do you need? Told them what I needed, and they're like, let's do it. And it's been absolutely phenomenal because these guys, for one, such an amazing company, amazing products. Like that new fish scale is incredible. The nets are amazing. The fillet knives, the shears, the scissors, they're the best ones you'll ever use. And they stepped up huge, and they've allowed us to do so much more stuff. They've, the first company to really step up in a financial form, I guess you could say, that's allowed us to do so much more marketing for this show this year. So it's been really good. Hats off to them. They're phenomenal people. I'm pumped to have them this week. There will be a corporate booth. We'll be playing Bubba games in the Peterborough Pro Tackle booth. You'll actually get to choose one of their mystery bags and weigh it on a scale. And if you get within so close to the weight, you get to keep the contents in those bags. And there's some of them are like $50. Some of them are like $300. A couple of them have Bubba scales in them. So it's pretty cool. Like there's just lots of cool stuff with Bubba happening at the show.
I've been holding out. I haven't bought the scale yet. I was close.
Yeah.
Close at
There'll
the
be-
Sportsman Show, and they only had one left, and there was somebody else that wanted to buy it. So
Yeah, there'll be
That's
deals on the scale for sure. And I would pick one up if you guys see them because I'm pretty sure they're back ordered till about June.
yes,
So,
they are. Yes, they
Dealers
are.
don't have them right now. We're back ordered on them till June. I don't even have one yet, actually. That's how crazy it is because every time an order comes in, we fill it. So it's just an awesome product.
Is it the same, the Bubba? Is it the same company that used to do the drinkware, like the Bubba drinkware?
I don't know. It isn't, Moose. I don't believe it is. So they do a lot of saltwater stuff like coolers, kayak kits and stuff like that. But I don't believe it was the same one. I know exactly which one you mean. I don't believe it's the same company.
Yeah. Because I went through their catalog as soon as, so we were talking in the background. He says, I get an email and it says, do not post this. Okay. So I know it's like important information. It was the announcement, the Bubba announcement. And right away, I went to their website and kind of cruised through their catalog. They have a lot of product, a ton of product. So don't think it's just scales and knives. Cruise through and have a good look. You'd be surprised how much product is in there. It's amazing. It's unreal.
Yeah, a lot of really cool stuff. The scissors, like the braid nippers, like all that stuff, guys. And it's really like high-end quality stuff. Doesn't necessarily mean the cheapest price tag on it, but like it's gonna last you your whole life. Like it's that good.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Exciting. So you know all the ins and outs.
Oh, Bubba.
Welcome, Chris Tatosco, the Polish Prince. That's too funny.
Sorry, go ahead, Moose.
No, I was going to say, all the, obviously, who's coming to the show. Is there one thing that you could fill us on, or a booth, or a handful of booths that are going to have some crazy, insane deals?
Well, I'm trying to here's the problem with Cancast. It's like one side of me wants this to be like the new exclusive showcase, Bassmaster Classic, new stuff. But the vendors just keep showing up with crazy deals. So it's kind of like we're going to start the year. It's the perfect timing because they get rid of old stock and they start the sales on the new stuff. So there's going to be a lot of them. Like X-Zone has a bunch of stuff going on, guys. Like buy 2, get 1 free sort of deal. Crush City, buy 3 packs of baits, you're going to get a free hat. Taco Depot has absolutely insane. I post them up on our Facebook page. Garmin blowouts, literally live scope LVS 32 kits for $14.99 with the black box, crazy stuff like that. I mean, honestly, I should have a whole list going. It's crazy how many deals there are here between all the vendors. This is a buying show. Almost everything's for sale. Every vendor wants to sell you something and work with you on a deal. Nothing here is normal price. It just isn't. You know what I mean? Peterborough Pro Tackle's got a crazy deal, but it's not just the retailers. It's all the individual bait makers, like some of these awesome like guys that right here in Ontario. We got guys like Dead End Lures coming all the way over from New Brunswick. Choppy Water Bait Company, Jacked Up Jigs, Wham Baits, Pro Water Baits. Let's just name a few guys. They're all making amazing stuff for amazing prices. Scotty wouldn't be able to echo this, like what you saw at Woodstock. We got a lot of those vendors here as well. Great products, amazing prices. Like, and that's just it, guys. And some of this, like, what I've noticed about these vendors is the amount of work they're putting into this show. Like this, I call it my Bassmaster Classic, my Super Bowl. This is their Super Bowl. Like they work all year for these shows, right? And some of them, this is the only show they do. And they're working, building. And I just hope those guys get the support they need because the products are all phenomenal. Like I think bait making in Canada has gone to like another level the last 5 years over COVID. I think they're getting the components. They're doing amazing stuff. I unfortunately wasn't able to make it to Woodstock. I know where you guys were. Scotty does that, the whole Made in Canada concept. Awesome. But these guys, like, they're making amazing stuff. Like, it's changing, like, where I'm purchasing now. So all those guys are going to be there.
It is. It's true. And to your point, Kyle, in a lot of cases when COVID hit, and no, this is no offense to the big industry, but a lot of those mom and pop tackle producers got us through COVID when we weren't able to get in the stores. And you're right. When you see the effort, like I think of a guy like Mike Parker, who never seems to get tired. Handlebars Lures, he's at every show, and he's not doing it necessarily to sell his product. He is so honored to be a part of this community that he's there to support you. He's there to support us. And I think of the effort that is put onto that. And when you said, I hope they hit it out of the park, it's exactly how I felt in Woodstock. These folks have done so much to sell this show and this industry and this community and everything else that goes along with it. I just hope we're able to hit it out of the park. And you know what? I have a feeling you're going to. You do every year. I mean, at the end of the day, Kyle, this is one of those shows that everybody talks about that they must go to, right? Sportsman Show has always been that show. Spring Fishing and Boat Show has always been that show. Cancast has just come in. Like, you guys are that show. And you know what? Hats off to you, dude, because I know the work and effort that goes into it.
Yeah, thanks. No, we're excited. Like, this one was way harder to pull together, I think, because it has so many different dynamics. Like, we have kind of that new industry side of the big companies, like the Daiwas, the Shimanos, the Pure Fishings, the St. Croix, etc. And we got kind of that Ontario bait maker, and we got the tackle swap side, and now we got the boat yard, which is going to be full of all these brand new boats. Like, if you're in the boats and you want to see, like, there's going to be the aluminum stuff there and the pontoons as well, but every high-end bass boat company is bringing their flagship model. Like, I cannot wait to see them. Like, we're going to see Rangers, Skeeters, Tritons, Icons, Vexus. What am I missing here, Moose? And now we're going to see them all lined up beside each other. Like, it's going to be the coolest picture. Like, I can't wait. I already got it pictured. And, and we know those boats aren't for everybody, but it's just another cool thing that's coming. The Icon boat, it's going to be the first time in Canada. It showed up at the Power Garage this morning. It's going to be the first time in Canada one gets put on display. Like, to me, this is cool stuff, probably from a show promoter standpoint, because it's kind of like history in the making, right? It's a big deal for Canada.
Who's Icon boat? Has it been sold yet, or is that Frank's?
That one is for sale. This one is the store stock. Yeah. Right. So, so that's exciting. So, hey, somebody can take that thing home. So, we're really excited about this stuff. Like I said, it was a hard one to put together because you're dealing with so many different. What's the word I want to use here? You know what? I'm dealing with so many options with such a limited amount of space. Now, if you take all of our space and you put it all together, our square footage is massive. Like, it is huge. That's the way we run both buildings, outside area, front lobby this year, you name it. And it's all fishing. Like, we don't have anything else here. It's not a sportsman show. There's no hunting. And like, no disrespect to any other shows. We just can fill it with fishing, right? And that's what it is. We want it to be a Cancast fishing show. So we got the seminars happen, which is amazing speakers this year. Like JP the Rose on Steelhead, and for all you guys. Nick Kusvis is going to do electronics. That one's going to be amazing. Like, he's got a full Garmin simulator set up. But the same stuff will work if you're a Humminbird guy. He's just going to show you how to do stuff a little differently and all that. And then we have Bob Azumi. Who doesn't love listening to Bob? He's going to give you all those tricks on the water. And then we have an awesome muskie seminar panel with Mike Parker, Frank from Thirsty Lures, and Johnny from Lebowski Lures. They're all going to step up and talk everything muskie fishing. So 4 amazing seminars, amazing people. They're going to be 10, 11, 12, 1 right after each other. So you can kind of get in where you want. And guys, you can spend a whole day at this show. If you work this show right, there's so many people to talk to. You could spend 8 days at this show, no problem. 8 hours, sorry, no problem. So a full day.
Very true.
Yeah.
I just noticed something. I thought we got rid of that last image.
Nah,
Did you notice it?
Yeah, you know who posted the wrong one today? Bob himself.
No
Yeah,
way.
I had to call
If you
him.
go back to that Bob Azumi,
Don't show him.
Is
Don't
that
point
the
him
wrong
out.
one?
Don't pull him out. I even switched
boy.
it. He posted
Again, Bob, I'm sorry. That's my fault. You know what I mean? Like, again, 2 o'clock in the morning. Look, no eye.
missing an eye. Bob Zoom.
We're all human. We all make mistakes.
Dude, no one noticed that until I think I noticed it like super late one night, but no one caught it. Nobody, not even
Because the
Bob.
letters it's tucked underneath the flap, right? So, and again, you just see the person, and you see Bob, and you just assume Azumi. Yeah. That was my bad. Bye, Bob. Sorry, Bob.
Yeah. So one thing I do want to comment on quick, guys, is we do still have 4 or 5 days of our big giveaways left. We were calling it $1,000 a day. We're going to be well above that because the prize tomorrow is worth $4,300 on its own. We're giving away a Garmin Live Scope lithium battery ice bundle with a 95 SV screen in it. So $4,300 value. I'm pulling that tomorrow night. So if you guys buy an online ticket, so just buy a ticket to the show, you're automatically entered in to win that, guys. So your ticket's going to get you into the show, into all these door prizes. That Garmin one is huge. And after that, we got amazing tackle prizes, gift cards, more rods, everything coming up right until the show. So it's been going really well. I'm getting a really good response to this. I'm getting a lot of cool messages. Everything has been claimed so far except for the prize from yesterday. But everything has been claimed until this point. So someone will eventually look through their tickets, go, hey, I got that winning number. We post all the numbers up, and someone's going to win.
Where can they find the winning numbers?
So everything is on our Facebook and Instagram page. 2 days ago, we posted all the first 8 numbers in one spot. We're also going to have a big list at the show. Actually, Moose, that might be a last-minute print job for you, but I won't be able to give it to you until Friday. We'll probably post a big one. Or at least post any numbers that weren't claimed so people can come up and check their ticket as they walk in the door. We want these prizes claimed. We tried this last year. We kind of pulled it together last minute. We had most of them claimed, but we had a few that weren't. But this year we're just like, I posted at 9 p.m. and it's like within 9:30, I got someone's like, I won that. And it makes us so pumped. It's wicked. And they're stoked. So, yeah. It's
Are you going to get a chance to walk around the show this year and pick up some goodies or what? Because I know last year it was nuts. You're like, I just want to go shopping.
Well, we kind of got a different plan this year. Like I'm actually going to work the mic a little bit more and just talk to people. And, as long as everything's going smooth and I'm not needed anywhere, my plan is I want to MC a little bit. I want to talk to the vendors. I want to shop. I'm going to bring a bag with me. And as I'm talking to them, I'm going to do some shopping. I'm going to see kind of what I get at the end of the day and use it as one of like our podcast topics. So like, I think I might do like a game where I give like Mark $100, Sean $100, and me $100, and who can come back with like the best bag.
The best bag for $100. That's a great idea.
Yeah, it's like right, guys, because like, hey, maybe I go and buy something, but then I go over to the swap and I trade it. I trade up. I want to like, it's, you know what I mean.
Idea.
So
as far as the swap goes, is there anything? Because I know some of these guys, they've got garages full of things they've collected over the years, and some of them actually I saw down at Oklahoma in Tulsa. And they're bringing things back from the classic that they're going to be selling at the swap. It happens. It happens. We know it happens.
Yeah, these guys don't disappoint. Like it's the tables are insane. So like this is the argument is like, where do you want to start? Like there's 2 entrances this year. There's one on the Memorial Building, and the Memorial Building is full of amazing vendors plus the swap. The Memorial Building's a monster building. It's way bigger than the ice pad, guys. And then there's the ice pad and the boatyard that connects them all. If you want to check out the tackle swap first, go through the Memorial Building entrance. Okay, guys? If you want to get to like some of those, retailer deals, maybe go through the Memorial Center. But in the Memorial Building, we got some amazing retailers too. BJ's out of Bewdley. Get Fishing has that awesome buy one, get one free rod deal going on with Musta. Sorry, I believe I pronounced that right. We also have Smith's Tackle in there. And we got a bunch of other great tackle companies in there. So like, don't think that I would argue that more buying happens in the Memorial Building. That's honestly what I would say. So it really depends what you guys are looking for. If anybody, is looking for a particular booth, shoot us a message. We'll tell you which entrance to start in. But that's sometimes the challenge is, where do we start? Where do you start? There's just a lot to do.
Tackle swap. There are some of the best like finds at the tackle. In my opinion, tackle swap is where I would start, because it's always the craziest find. You get there and all of a sudden it empties out quickly. Yeah. I would start tackle swap, work my way towards the show, because not to say that there isn't goodies in there. There is. But tackle swap, that's where you find the gems.
Yeah. Gems. Last year I found some cool vintage stuff in there.
Moose, you found something too, Moose. I forget what it was in the tackle swap area that you're like, I gotta have that. I think you.
I found a few things actually. Yeah. I mean, you can never have enough reels, and I stumbled upon some reels. I know we get some pro staff pricing on reels, but I found a DC that was like literally giving it like, just here, take it type of thing. That's what it was. Yes. And I got a DC for $100. I was like, you can't go wrong. You know what I mean? So with line,
it's wild, man. Like, it is crazy. And it's a huge tackle swap. It's 75 tables this year. So like, if you take that, that's a big tackle swap, right? Yep. So arguably one of the biggest. And then you got everything else going on. So guys, it's just like, it's a different feel. I like to call it like a show from the 90s. That's what somebody told me. I never went to a show in the 90s, but people keep referring it to that. Like, I think next year we'll do like, for like, the third year, we're going to call it the third year at Cancast, fourth year in Peterborough. We're going to do like a retro theme. Like, I want everybody wearing like 90s clothing and like having a show. How cool would that be, right? So we're
is the Merc Oil, is the Merc Oil deal still here this year?
Yes, the Merc Oil, I believe it's $150 a jug now,
Dude,
which is still cheap, right? Not $100 like it used to be. Yeah. But Louis from Boatland, he's loading up, and he's already like got a bunch of it pre-sold. You can call him and pick it up at the show. Like, have it ready. It's insane. Go.
That was the quickest. That was like the show special. Yeah. Right. It was the quickest thing right away. Merc Oil, where $150. Boom, gone, done, finished. Yeah. Within the first 15, 20 minutes, you sold out.
Yeah, and there's still a lot of guys running those two strokes, right? So grab some oil. I know Paul Powis, he picks it up there every year for his boat, his motors, and like, it's just people come from all over just to get that oil. And then they, get some stuff. And you guys can make a day of it. The food is there. The restaurant's open. The bar is open. Like, please, like, have fun. And by all means, like, come check it out. And if you see me, like, please say hi. I'm going to be busy. There's no doubt about it. If I'm short, it's not personal. But I got some really nice messages this week saying, good job. So excited for this. People, like, we haven't even been there yet. And two of them are people have never came. They're like, we're just so excited for this. It made me feel really good. It's like, hey, we're doing something right. And we get the odd bad one. Can I just address one more thing quick? The lineup was so 2022. Like, everybody's got to get over this. They got guys like sending us messages like, I waited in line for 3 hours. It's like, no, you did not. You were not at our show last year. We literally like had that whole line in last year in 18 minutes. The only reason you waited in line is if you came before we opened the doors. I can't control that. This year with two entrances, I guarantee if you come after 9:15, you will walk right in that building. Like, I have no doubt about it. The Memorial Center staff, they are absolute professionals at what they do. They do huge events here, concerts, you name it. They're like not even concerned. They got a plan. They do this every weekend.
You got to think how many people they put through a Peterborough Pete's game. You got 4,000 or 5,000 people going. 9,000.
9,000 people
like that.
Yeah, we'll go through a Pete's game. So here's what I'm trying. So like, I went to a concert on Friday night. We waited in line until they opened the doors to get us into the concert. Anything that is usually remotely exciting to go to, there might be like a little bit of a wait, 10-minute here and there. Guys, it won't be the case. If crowds aren't your thing, come a little bit later. There's deals all day. There's so much inventory coming. Yeah, sure, a couple things will sell out. You might miss a couple gems in the swap, but they're also restocking their swap tables out of their cars, guys. Like, please come and please bring the family. We have so much stuff for kids here. Like, not just what Cancast is doing, but what the vendors are doing for children. They walk out. It is like Christmas Day with what these kids walk out with. Bags and bags of stuff. It's mayhem. And they're free. Kids under 12 are free.
Yeah.
So
a lot of the times, and it's funny, I've seen it a few times. I know Rich Asen last year at his table. I was sitting there chatting with him. Someone came by and it was closer to the end of the day, and he was just giving stuff away. Just here, take this. Yeah, I don't do it. Take this. Yeah, take this. He just didn't want to take anything home. Didn't want to repack it. So it's one of those shows where it's deals, more deals. Nobody wants to trek a whole bunch of stuff back home, only sit in the garage again until next year. So definitely be there early, spend the day there, take your time and look at everything. I know when you're in the aisle and people are walking through, you feel rushed to kind of like continue moving. Take your time, do 2 or 3 laps. I've always been a fan of, 1 lap, 2 laps, 3 laps, sold. And I say that because, there's multiple days to most of these shows. With this one, it's 1 day. 1 lap, 2 laps, sold.
Yeah. And there's a few people that I get this comment. I've got it about 3 times this week about why isn't it 2 days? We don't know what we're doing and this is ridiculous and blah, blah, blah. So there's multiple reasons. One, we have figured out that these vendors can sell as much in 1 day as they would in 2 without us having to rent the building and jack the prices up on them and all the costs that goes in. We don't want to do like double the expenses for everybody, not just us as promoters, for 10% more return. Like we're never going to say never on anything. So I don't know what the future holds, but we really like this 1 day format. Like we really like it. It's like a big party. It's high energy. And that's what we love about it. And we think that's a big part of what makes this event. I don't know if we did it 2 days. I don't think there'd be anything left by the second day.
I think it'd be just as successful, but it's just as difficult right now. You got to take 3 days off work. Because let's face it, even for a 1 day show, guys are taking 2 days off. Now you got 2 days of hotel, 2 days of this, 2 days of that. If it goes to 2 days, then you got 3 days of hotel. Then the cost of the building goes up because you got it for 2 days. And then even though the building's just as busy as anybody else. So
exactly.
I mean, there's a lot that goes into it, whether you're paying, and I'm just throwing numbers out there. This isn't an actual number. Whether you're paying $100 or $500, if you go to 2 days or even 3 days, it could potentially double or triple the cost depending on what the building has going on and what that day 2 or day 3 rate is. And a lot of people don't think about that when they look at the Sportsman show. Oh my God, it's so expensive. What's almost 10 days or 6 days or whatever it is. But cost versus time, you gotta just say, hey, can I sell X amount of dollars? Is this something that fits my profile? Is a 1 day show where I want to be? Is a 2 day show where I want to be? Or is a 10 day show like even the boat show? Boat show's 10 days. Costly, very costly, right? So I think a 1 day show is super exciting. I think it'd be fun to do 2 days for sure. I'd love to see it at 2 days, but then again, like you said before, cost.
Yeah, and there's some other great shows that do that, right? Like there's the Spring Fishing and Boat Show in February, which is the 3 day, kind of new product showcase, lots of boats, a little bit different feel than us. And then there's the Sportsman Show, which has a big a big fishing section. It's getting bigger. And, and it was like 4 days or whatever it was. And then, there's us, it's 1 day and it's a whole different feel. And that's what we want. We want ours to feel a little bit different. And I think we're kind of establishing that where everybody walks out of there like, what just happened? what just happened? Like, why is my wallet empty? And why am I so happy? Like, what happened? Like, it was awesome. It's awesome that way.
So true.
Yeah.
Well, we look forward to it. And of course, it all starts on Saturday. You obviously have setup going on Friday and Saturday. And then, of course, the social. Who is it? Blake, I think Blake Rader's asking, are you going to be singing any karaoke, either one of you two?
We're not sure yet what we're going to do with the karaoke, or there's some stuff happening here. So I'm going to leave this up to my social committee, Sean and Mark, to see what they can pull together. But this social is going to be a blast. It's going to be a ton of fun. This venue is so much better. If you guys are at the One Eye Jacks last year, Shoeless Joe's blows it out of the water. Way bigger. Hats off to Emma at Muskie Maniac. She was one of the managers there, and she's like, Kyle, we want to help you throw this. Boom. She's like, got it staffed. They're ready for us. They got their best bartenders on. The food's amazing at Shoeless Joe's in Peterborough. I eat there regularly for my work meetings and stuff like that. Phenomenal place. Can't wait to have it there. It's going to be so much better. We're starting at 7. From 4 until 7, I believe, we have the Crowley brothers. They're doing it's their own deal. But great guys. They have Danny and Evan coming in to Shoeless Joe's. They're going to kind of do like a little bass talk while you eat your dinner, or late lunch, whatever you want to call it. And then we're going to kick off the social around 7. So lots of cool stuff happening.
Awesome stuff. Well, I'll tell you, I can't.
So jealous. I want to be there so bad.
You got to come, Moose. Got to figure this out. So,
Well, you're not able to go to the social booths.
We'll talk about that off air.
Oh dear Lord!
No, this year I will not be attending the social. Who knows? I may. You might see me there at midnight, 11, 10:30. It doesn't matter. It's
but hats off to Moose because he's always had our back. He DJ'd us for us last year, everything. And you know what, Moose? You do what you got to do, buddy. You take care of the family and all that. We're gonna see you Sunday morning, bright and early. Moose will be bringing coffees because he's gonna be well rested compared to the rest of us.
Yeah, well rested. We'll see about that one, bud. We'll see about that one.
Yeah, but I just want people to know too that social is open to the public. It's not just for vendors. Like, it's open for the public, guys. Come on out, have some fun, and it's just a low pressure. Like, let's kind of kick off the weekend sort of deal. So
that's awesome. Right on, Kyle. As I said, thanks so much for joining us and doing what you do for our community, for everything that goes on with your event and others' events like ours. Truly appreciated the support, and dude, my friend, I hope you do nothing less than hit it out of the park this weekend.
Thanks, Scotty. I hope so. Like I say, guys, buy your tickets online if you're planning on coming. They're definitely available at the door, but it's just one less stop you got to make, especially if you want to go in the Memorial Building. You don't got to walk all the way up to the box office and back. It helps everybody. Just helps us kind of gauge stuff as we're leading up to it. And you're going to get entered in to win that draw. Who doesn't want to win these prizes, guys? Like, we've given away kayaks. Tonight, actually, right now, I'm 5 minutes late. We're going to draw a ticket here for the Shimano prize pack. Big supporter of you guys. Big supporter of our show. So we got all sorts of stuff happening. But tomorrow, the Garmin. Buy a ticket for the Garmin. $4,300, guys, going home with somebody.
Yep.
So,
and then call me, because I've got some new settings that I picked up from one of the pros out in the States that will blow your mind. Blow your mind.
Awesome. Well, thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it. And we'll see you guys on the weekend. So,
on that note, hope everybody has a great week. Hope we all see you at Cancast. Thanks so much for joining us as you do every Monday. We truly appreciate your support. Love you all. And as I said, drive safe if you are heading to Peterborough, Ganyons, or anywhere else in between. We look forward to seeing you get there safe. On that note, you guys have yourself a great week. Dave, it's time to take us away. All the best. Peace.
Well, as much as I hate to admit it, I guess we've run out of time. So I've enjoyed it. But I'm going to do something I haven't done since season 1. Turn out the lights, the party's over. They say that all good things must end.